Implicit Bias Radio back on the air. I'm your host, Kavan Bordelon. We are in the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair located somewhere in downtown Lafayette, Louisiana. Let me introduce you to the crew before we get to our weekly whiskey. At the bar, on your right, he is Rene Girard, Louisiana's only certified master tobacconist. Rene, you gonna have a cigar for us this week?
I definitely have a cigar this week.
Outstanding.
I've had several already today, but I will have one for the cigar of the month.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because that's what we were referencing. I know you go through about 6 or 7 cigars a day.
At least.
At least, yes. Sitting next to him, who is, since Rene has 6 or 7 cigars a day, Grant is experiencing having a cigar right now. He is Grant Galatas, K&B of William S. Nacall Jewelers. Mr. Galatas, good to have you back.
Good to be here, guys. It's a nice little, when the wind hits it just right, a little bit of tobacco aroma comes off of that.
There you go.
And it wishes this way.
The wafting of the cigar,
That's
right?
correct. I can enjoy it without actually enjoying it.
Which I'm going to pick on Rene as we get a little later in the show, because I attempted to do that the last time we were at Mr. Lester's. And Rene knows my palate, and I think Rene thought that it was going to be funny, giving me what he gave me, because I asked for it. I know. I asked for it.
It was a cigar we talked about.
It was.
Sungrown. I just brought you a shorter one because I knew how it was going to affect you.
When Caleb says, "Ooh, this is spicy," and Caleb smokes cigars all the time, I'm like, oh my goodness. Speaking of Caleb, the tan, the myth, the legend has returned. And yes, he begged for us to call him that before this segment. Oh, no.
I said I'm under my molting. There he is.
You said, look who's showing up underneath. That's what you said.
Lotion on its skin.
The Rustic Renegade is back with us. He's back from vacation. Hopefully you got some well-deserved time away.
I did. I got to relax a little bit. The wife and I went snorkeling. I learned that if you're going to climb a float, like with the ropes and all that stuff on it, and you're my size, you need a counterweight.
Not like a Mardi Gras float.
No. That one wouldn't tip over. But the ones in the water, counterweight is necessary.
Counterweight is necessary. Okay, so speaking of counterweight, we last week had an absolute heavyweight of a whiskey with the Buzzard's Roost Toasted Barrel. Came in well over 100 proof, great caramel, great toasted marshmallow, and it rated as a blue here on Implicit Bias. And we'll go back over the Morse whiskey rating code here on the show. Yes, but you know what? It rated that, it counted. This week, we are still sticking with Buzzard's Roost, but this week, we have the Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey Cask Strength from Buzzard's Roost. So, that being said, I'm curious to hear what some of us here on Implicit Bias have to think about this. Caleb, we're going to come to you last because I'm going to give you a compliment. I don't want to do it, and I'm just going to wait. Let's go to the bar first. Rene, the microphone's pointing towards you.
Not one of my favorites now. I know.
Look.
I've gotten to be a wimpy over the last few weeks.
Sam, rest in peace. By the way, he's not really dead. But Sam, who is no longer with the show, was our whiskey snob. You are very quickly turning into the Implicit Bias whiskey snob. You don't like anything anymore.
No, I mean, there's things, I guess I just got used to lesser proofs. I like the sweetness that comes out of a lesser proof. This one I would put at 110.
No, this one's 115.
Oh, okay. And I've just come to really appreciate 100 and less proofs. At the shop, we've been drinking some Elijah Craig's and, Melick. I love JT Melick, and it's a 94 proof. And I just get more sweetness. This stuff, I'm not getting a lot of sweetness out of. And I guess I've become a whiskey snob. You created this.
Yeah, I did.
I was a beer guy. You made me a whiskey snob.
Yeah, but here's the crazy part. We should have made you a whiskey snob for good whiskey. Right. We made you a whiskey snob for crap whiskey. No, I'm kidding. There are some really good whiskeys under 107 to 105 proof. There are.
Yes, it's not rocket fuel, but they are some great whiskeys.
Yeah, there are. Proof. There are. Okay, so let's go to the other person at the bar, K&B, Kennebra, Grant Galatas of William S. Nacall. So Grant, the other Buzzard's Roost made it into Deep Blue, the Implicit Bias Infinity bottle sitting in front of you, which came from William S. Nacall's. William S. Nacall's. I'm curious if this one is going in as well.
Well, it got me wanting to taste the one from last week because this one is just fantastic. I do pick up the sweet. It does list it as vanilla. I'm getting a little bit of citrus out of it on the nose and on the palate. So I've grown to like the 110 to 120 proofs, and this is right in the middle of that. This is right in my wheelhouse. It checks all the boxes for me. So,
really?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. This one's fantastic. I want to taste the one from last week.
And what's funny is you used to not be that higher proof guy. Like 115, you're like, oh my God.
Right.
It's too much. Yeah. Now
it was a break-in period. I'm at my purple belt right around.
Okay.
Now. I got a couple of belts to catch up, but it's a dangerous bottle for me because if I've had a bad day, I would get a bottle of this and half of it would be gone by the time the evening is done, just because all of the flavors are right there on the nose, on the palate, everything just in my wheelhouse.
We have a saying on this show, bourbon, bourbony, McBourbon. And to me, this is right in that wheelhouse. Every note that you would expect from a really good bourbon, you get on this. You get great proof. You get great caramel. I actually like that you said citrus because I initially didn't quite pick it up, but as I hit the nose again, I do get that. I'm wondering, and to me, it would almost be sacrilege to do it, but it's not. I'm wondering how good this would be in an old fashioned, where the citrus here would play off the orange in the old fashioned. I mean, this to me, like you, hits all the notes. Speaking of hitting all the notes, especially those of a soprano, we've got Walker in the corner. So Walker, I'm curious, as you have your first tasting of this Buzzard's Roost, last time that Renee poo-pooed on a whiskey, I went straight to you because I thought I knew kind of where your flavor profile would hit. I think I know again. I'm curious, do you like this one as much as I think you do?
Yes, I really do enjoy this one. I get that heavy caramel, vanilla. It's good. It's the same one as we had last week. Not the same one, but like the same brand.
It's the same label, correct. It's the same, and it's not necessarily a distiller, but it is the same brand. That's a great call out.
The one we had last week was, I feel like that one was more like kind of refreshing.
Okay.
I think that's what I said last week, but this one I do really, really enjoy.
I'm glad that you do, because I'm with you on this one, and I love, because Walker was also, Renee, a beer drinker. He was not a whiskey drinker. Well, let me rephrase that. He's 22 years old. He drank whatever he got for free.
No, and he wasn't a beer drinker because all he drank were light beers and ultra lights, and that's not beer. That's water.
No, look at that mustache. We need to get that mustache on camera. That mustache screams, I drink heavy IPA. That's what it screams.
No, that says champagne of beers.
Not even some champagne of beers.
All right. So we've got a couple of reviews on it, and this is the compliment that I don't want to get because he wasn't here last week. We missed it, Caleb. We missed the Caleb Morse whiskey description that has become so unique to you on this show.
You mean someone else couldn't try?
Well, I can, but it's like when we would do a Kamala Harris impersonation or a Kamala Harris impersonation, right? It was like pure gibberish when it came out. It was, oh, this smells like the barley that fell off of the side of the truck on the eastern side of the road, somewhere near Murfreesboro, Tennessee, on the north-south side of it, not the east-west side of it, but only in the spring. I mean, no, it's not right.
Well, and you were trying to get Trammell to say the word, and he would not say it.
He would not say donkey whiskey. No.
He would not.
Oh.
And he said he couldn't believe it, that he was actually brought in at the last minute. It had to be somebody else because he's never on shows with good whiskeys.
Yeah, he thought it was going to be a donkey whiskey, and it certainly was not. Yeah. So
if it was anything like this, it sure isn't.
It is close to this, not too far off. I'll tell you what I think is the difference, and I know Grant has that bottle right in front of him, and it's between you and Grant, so I know y'all will get a taste of that.
Well, I should have had that for my second glass.
So I'm curious, what are you getting off of this one?
So on the nose, I mean, you get caramel, I get cracked black pepper, and then I can't put my finger on this the finish on the nose. I wrote possibly flat Dr. Pepper. That's literally I wrote possibly flat because it's definitely not carbonated. It has that little to it. On the palate, this is where it comes in. I was talking to my mother about like things that I enjoyed and she enjoyed whenever I was young. And she was talking about her favorite candy. And she's like, I loved cow tails as a kid. And I'm like, cow tails? They were around when you were a kid? She's like, you don't remember eating cow tails with me? I'm like, no, I don't think I ever ate a cow tail. And then I had one yesterday because of that. And I get that, not caramel, it's like a caramelly vanilla.
Yes.
It's more vanilla than caramel.
I know what you mean.
So that I get like a cow tail out of this. It's subtle, not really subtle, but it's long, drawn out, the naturally sweet vanilla. That's what I get on the front. Then I get cracked black pepper. Then I get, for Renee, like fresh, dried tobacco leaf. Like almost like a non-mixed pipe tobacco. I get that in the middle of the palate. And then on the finish, I tried making wine years ago. And I was good at it. I did better with, I can't think of the word now. It's a honey liquor.
Mead?
Mead. I did better with mead. But I tried a Satsuma wine, and it was not great. And on the finish, I get like a Satsuma type citrus. Not a Satsuma wine, but a Satsuma type finish, where it's thin, it's clean, but it's lingering. It's not overpowering. It's not abrupt. It's not there. It's like a hint.
So I know what I get off of this that I couldn't quite place, and I think this puts it into maybe perspective, and it's going to fit between yours, Caleb, and Grant, your description. Have you ever had the chocolate oranges? It's shaped like an orange. It's chocolate, and you have to slam it down on the table so it separates, and it's like orange slices, but it's chocolate, and it's
They still make
chocolate.
those?
Yeah, they do, and it's chocolate that has orange flavoring in it, and that's what I almost get that here.
Yeah.
So you almost get a chocolatey flavor here with that orange citrus tinge to it, and the finish is long.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
How much it draws out, because it finishes neatly, and it's not like this overpowering flavor, but it just drags it out, and not to where it's that uncomfortable where you're like, oh, he's still talking, but it's like it's still there, right?
Yeah, the finish on it is so long. It's not like wake up the next morning and go, they're still here. The finish on it is so long. It's like, oh, they're still here. Yeah, that's where this finish lands for me. It just is that good. It is done that well. It is that satisfying, to complete the metaphor.
I love how you talked about satisfying, because I don't know if the people on the camera can see this. And earlier I said The Simpsons, but I was wrong. You ever watched Family Guy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Walker does look like the guy from Family Guy.
Well, yes, but not Peter Griffin.
No, I know the one you're talking about.
Bruce.
Yes.
Bruce with the earring and the blue jean shorts.
The jorts.
Yeah.
Those are not blue jean
That's
shorts.
great. If anyone knows who he's talking about, that is great.
That's where I am today.
All right, Grant, you wanted to chime in.
All right, the official online breakdown. Burst of sweetness, flavors of vanilla and coconut at the mid palate. Sweetness is beautifully balanced by rich notes of maraschino, cherry, and citrus. Like you said earlier, making
Old-fashioned.
an excellent choice for an old-fashioned.
This just absolutely hits that flavor profile
So
for
as
me.
usual, y'all spot on.
I would make with this a Cheater's Old Fashioned and be thrilled. Just take a couple Luxardo cherries, drop them down in this neat, and be happy all evening long. So speaking of being happy all evening long, let's rate this on the Morse Whiskey rating code, and let's play What Would You Pay for the What Would You Pay Championship Belt Chain presented by Box Drop of Lafayette. Renee, you gotta show it to the camera like the front of it. There we go. Thank you. Okay, so for those who are uninitiated to the show, the Morse Whiskey rating code. Red, I wouldn't drink it even if it was free. Yellow, I would only drink it if it was free. Green, I would buy this. Blue, I would seek this out. And for the What Would You Pay Championship Belt Chain, we just award the belt chain presented by Box Drop to whoever gets closest to the actual price. But the real question is, would you pay more than this bottle actually costs? So Renee, let's start with you, because I think you're going to rate this as a donkey whiskey and you're going to underpay for it, so we know what to expect.
No, I wouldn't put it donkey whiskey, but it's going to be a yellow for me.
Okay.
I mean, it's drinkable.
You drink it.
I drink it. I did. And I just got a sample of last week's. I think I like that one better than this
Okay.
week's,
Well, it's a
because
lower proof.
It's a lower proof. It's a little bit sweeter to me. I would put this one at about 65.
$65 and a yellow. Let's not go to the bar. Let's go to Walker. Walker, I'm curious. What would you pay, and where do you rate this on the Morse Whiskey rating code?
Pay 75, and I'll give it a blue.
75 and a blue. All right, back to the bar. Grant, where do you rate this on the Morse Whiskey rating code, and what would you pay?
Checks too many in my boxes. I'm going to blue this as well.
Okay.
I'm about to taste the one from last week. I kind of like that they call it Buzzard's Roost because I could see myself at the end of the night laying flat on my back in my backyard.
With buzzards over you.
looking for buzzards. So it's a blue for me, and I'm going to split these two guys and go right at $70.
Right at 70. All right. To the tan, the myth, the legend, just to make him happy. All right, Caleb.
I'm torn. Like I was in my head earlier, I was thinking about pricing. I'm like, oh, $74.99. And Walker's like 75. And I was like, you know what? Screw that. $70.
And then Grant takes 70.
Screw that. I'm going to do $77. I'll write that in my book.
Okay.
Man, I really want to give it a green. I really want to. And I'm on my second glass, trying not to finish it and trying to convince myself to try the one from last week when I want this one again. So it's a blue. No matter what I want to tell you, it is 100% a blue.
Renee didn't just squirrel, he squirreled badly. Like this is not getting a green from anyone on the show. This is getting a blue from everyone except Renee, who gave it a yellow.
My taste buds are messed up.
Well,
they got to be readjusted.
That's possible. And the What Would You Pay Championship Belt Chain presented by Box Drop of Lafayette. You guys were all over the target on this one. This is a 73.49 bottle of whiskey, which means that by a hair on his chinny chin chin or his nasty upper lip, Walker Griffon is the winner at $75 because, man, all over this. We don't have an age statement on this one, so we couldn't guess, $10 by year, but we do know, since you said it's a Kentucky straight, it's got to be 5 or 6. What a fantastic offering from Buzzard's Roost. My recommendation is if you see it, buy it. If you find it, get it. You will thank us later. What's the saying? And we'll come back because there's a saying from a movie about believe me once and thank me twice later. You'll enjoy this one as a great whiskey. Stick around. More Implicit Bias Radio, solving the problems of the world right after this.